because I've been to the mountaintop. All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Hi, I'm Carolyn R. Coleman, Councilwoman here in the District 10. Want to welcome you to our Dr. King Legacy series, and I am fortunate enough to have with me two of the most prominent constituents of this district, one being Ms. Elizabeth Cannon and the other one being Mr. Lewis Hall. Miss Elizabeth Cannon, affectionately known as Miss Bessie, a lifelong resident of Arizona Street that reside in District 10. Miss Elizabeth Cannon is 100 years old. She was 46 years old when Dr. King was assassinated. Mr. Lewis Hall, resident of District 10, Mr. Hall was 32 years old when Dr. King was assassinated. Thank you for coming to share with us, I should say, this day with our Dr. King Legacy series, and just so grateful to have you, Miss Cannon, and to have you, Mr. Hall, with us. And so during this time, we know that this is the time of Dr. King, and I am sure with the knowledge that you have, the memories that you have, that during that time and as you reflect and look back on that, just want to talk about during that King's time, what is it that you remember? What is it, Miss Bessie, do you remember during that time when Dr. King maybe was assassinated?
I don't remember anything about that.
Nothing? Okay, all right. What about you, Mr. Hall?
Well, when he was assassinated, it was surprising that a man like that was open to be assassinated like he did. He didn't deserve it, but you never know what's going on. And he just walked out on the terrace at this hotel, the patio, and somebody gunned him down, you know. And it was so frightening about that, because Dr. King brought another life to us, you know. When he came up, we thought segregation and all that just a way of life. But Dr. King let you know you didn't have to do this. Stand up for yourself. We were trained to just go along with the program. Dr. King said, you didn't have to do that.
Didn't have to do that, yes.
And that's what happened. And I always say the good people don't get the second chance. You know?
Wow.
They don't get the second chance. The good people, one shot and took him down.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Miss Bessie, with you being, and I have to keep saying this over and over again, I don't take it lightly, 100 years old. I know that you have seen much, heard much, done much, helped much, and so with all of that being said, and I tell you, I'm humbled to be able to sit in your presence. And so with that being said, what would you like to share maybe about life, about what is it that got you to this point, or back then, what it was like, and then now?
Well, I was born and raised in Clinton on a farm. And at chap corn and cotton. And we have a half a day on Saturday. We work all the week, and we had to work a half a day on Saturday. And it was hard.
Yes. Yes.
It really was hard.
Yes, ma'am. Only a half a day on a Saturday. And then I guess Sunday was?
We go to church.
Go to church. Yes, indeed. Go to church. And so when we think about that's what it was back then, do you think these young people would have made it? These young people this day would have been able to make that back then?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, huh? No, ma'am, no, ma'am. Of course, my dad said, oh, yeah, you would. If you were back then, you'd make it. But even now, okay, that was then. So what about now and where you sit and where you are with even coming up to that 100-year mark? Talk to me about the changes that you saw coming from chopping corn, picking cotton, and then where you are now.
It is hard. I got married at 45.
Okay.
And I had 5 children.
Okay.
They're all grown. And my husband deceased in 84. It was hard.
Sharp mind, too. There you spitting them numbers out like nothing. 1984 and all of this. And I have to kind of remember years myself, go back and look at paper. But sharp mind. But your life right now, would you say that it's a little easier, better than what it was before?
It's a little easy.
A little easier, yes, ma'am. A little easier. And when you say that, tell me why you say that.
Well, I don't have to go through what I have went through.
There you go. Bottom line, huh? Yes, ma'am. You better believe it. Yes, indeed. Yes, ma'am. And know that that's what young people need to understand. Really, you pay some way for even some of the youngsters in your family. And I know many of them talked about because of you, they are who they are. Because of you, they are doing what they're doing. Because of you. And see, I know you, lady, a few words. You sit and you watch more so than a lot of talking. So I know that about Miss Bessie. Yes, indeed. And what to say, it's a time to talk and a time to just be quiet, huh? And just observe. Yes, ma'am. Yes, indeed. Mr. Hall, share with me about where you come from and then where you are right now.
Oh, Lord, it's a long ways.
Long ways.
We came from the hills of Mississippi to Louisiana, and being 86 years old, you know, being a young black man out there trying to make it. My mother had 3 of us, a single parent, but we thrived and we came to Baton Rouge. I went to Scott Street School there, and I worked at a little service station right across the street. That was my cousin running from Scott Street School. I think he paid me about $5 a week, but that was a lot of money.
A lot of money.
I thought it was.
A lot of money.
It's
Yes,
something
indeed.
in my pocket, you know.
Yes.
And then when after that, I went Scott. Well, at the time, Scott Street School was a half a day, and you go a half a day. You had the platoon system, they called it. You go a half a day, the next class to come in, and then the seniors, from when you left Scott Street, you went to McKinley. Everybody went to McKinley because it was a half a day at McKinley. But when I left Scott Street, and I think it was in 50, that's when they built Capitol. Other than that, I would have been going to McKinley. Everybody went to McKinley.
Yes.
And I went to Capitol. That's where I stayed out in the park out there. But it didn't matter where you stayed. You went to McKinley.
Went to McKinley. That's right. Yes, indeed.
And then I went on to Scott Street, and you know, and I went to graduate from Capitol. I met my wife, who came here from Mississippi, to go to school, and I met her, and so we got married. I knew her 4 years before we married.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Tell me about life. Was life hard?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting around to. Life, and sometimes it's what you make it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, okay, if you can't get what you get, if you can't do what you want to do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Okay, got you.
Okay, if you know a job worth $4 and you can't make but $1, make that $1. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Okay.
But see, everybody wants things. You have to get out there and get what you get. See, kids wake up in the morning, they want to go to the show or whatever the movies are, $5, $6, they can go. Movies for 35 cents, you didn't have that.
Yes.
You had to sell cold drink bottles to get you to go to the movie. You know what I mean? You go to the movies and everything. And then, you know, and after going downtown at the Crest, you got a counter in the back where you go stand up and eat. You couldn't go sit down, you know. And you ride the bus, you had to get on the back. That's when Dr. King come through with the bus boycott, you know. And then you get on the bus, and the seats are free up there. I mean, it was vacant, but I don't care how many people on the bus, you got to stand up. You see?
Go
and
to
that's
the
when
back.
go to the back.
Or go to that back. That's right. That's
and you
right.
couldn't sit in those seats.
That's
you know.
correct.
That was segregation, you know. And then so many places you couldn't go. But we were humble because that was the way of life we thought until Dr. King come along over our eyes, you know.
All right.
Because everybody decided what to do. I mean,
Yes.
your mama said, don't you get in trouble, boy.
There you
And
go.
so we were humble. When your parents told you to do something, you didn't do that.
That's it. You listened.
You listen and humble.
And then
humble.
because of that and all of that, now you're really here today. Life better for you. Life better for you.
It's better in a sense than it's frightening.
Okay.
I got burglar alarms on my house, cameras and all this stuff.
Good point.
Because the neighborhood, you didn't have to lock your doors. I got to pay for a burglar alarm system, all this to protect my house.
Good point.
It shouldn't be that way.
Good point.
And neighbors don't speak to neighbors anymore. You know, neighborhood. I used to go to my mama's house when she was on 39th Street, and I went to see Miss Hall not there. She left.
Yes.
She's gone to church. You see what I mean? You don't have
Yes.
them kind of neighbors.
That's it. That's
the
it.
love for each other, open heart. When you ate, everybody ate.
That's it.
You understand? That's the way it was. But things going on now, I can't understand it. No love there.
At all. Miss Cannon, you fed many. You've cooked many meals and fed many, I would say.
I sure have.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, indeed. And they sat around that table and they talked about all them good meals that you made something out of nothing sometime, and everybody ate. And yes, ma'am. So,
true.
yes, indeed. Yes, ma'am. And it was good eating. Good eating. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Folk have talked about that. And so when we talk about being able to, when you did meals then and now the meals you're doing, so then it wasn't but so much you could cook. Now you're in a different posture. You can eat what you want right now, huh?
Yeah. True.
Yes, ma'am. Eat what you want right now. What's the meal that everybody wanted to eat at my Bessie's house, Grandma's house?
I love chicken.
Chicken,
Chicken,
love
yes,
chicken,
indeed.
yes indeed.
Chicken.
Yes indeed. And I think folk today still love that chicken, yes indeed, whatever way it is prepared. And they talked about all them good meals they used to come and get at the house with you. And so, yes indeed, that is what it is. When we think about the young people, Miss Bessie, tell me, what is it that you see that needs to be in order for them to be in a better way, doing better and doing differently?
There's a lot of them coming up in the parents not talking to them, raising them, and then get out there and do what they want to do.
Okay, yeah, and you're right, and that definitely can't happen, can it?
No, it can't.
No, indeed, not at all, not at all. And so I tell folk so often, I really don't blame the children for anything, because the children gonna do what parents allow them
That's true.
to do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But that was totally different back in the day, wasn't it? With you and your parent, your mom, that wasn't permitted, was it?
No.
And when she said no, what she meant?
She meant no.
That's right. There you go. You better believe she did. Yes, indeed. And so when she said yes, she meant yes, and you was glad to hear that yes, too. Yes, indeed. So, Mr. Hall, talk to me about your uprearing and thinking about the children now, and about how and where and what do you think was missing?
That is a good question. Okay, when your kids are coming up, you ain't had no rights.
Okay.
What they said, just like she said, whatever they said, that was it.
Yes.
You didn't ask nobody what you want to eat today. You ate what you had, what they cooked.
There you
But
go.
everything they cooked was well cooked.
Well done.
Well done. And they taught kids more respect and love for each other. They have no respect, you know. They just do anything and say anything. You couldn't say anything around anybody, you know. And if you walk down the street and somebody heard you cursing, they'd tell your mama she'd beat you to death.
Yes,
you know?
indeed. Yes,
You know?
indeed.
And that's the difference, you know. You just don't give the kids the right. And Parents know what their kids are doing, but they just not chastising them like they should. You know what your kids do.
That's correct. And you know, when we think about Reverend Dr. King's dream, his dream, he was dreaming and hoping the best for us and hoping that people would live a life and just continue to be productive and to just do the right thing and live a life that's pleasing and all of that. So when we talk about him and I look at you all, Miss Cannon, do you see yourself as wanting the same thing that he wanted back then that you?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. Talk to me about it. Tell me what it is. Tell me. Talk to me.
I loved the life he lived, and when he was living, he did what he could do for the people.
Yes, ma'am. He did that, didn't he? He did his level best, what he could do. And so I would say that you and him were like two of a kind. He did the level best, and you did your level best for taking care of your family and making sure. And then the thing about it, even at a point whereby you were able to chop corn and do all of that, but yet educate your children. So you knew the importance of them being on, just becoming educated. I tell folk all the time that every generation ought to be better and better, better and better as far as in their doing there. And you surely did that. Yes, indeed. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Definitely did that. And so when we talk about keeping a dream alive, and Mr. Lewis talking about keeping the dream alive, and the word dream, and when we talk about Dr. King, they're always talking about Dr. King and the dream.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
Okay, what was his slogan? Non-violence.
Okay.
It's just the opposite. That was his dream, non-violence, and all races get along. Everybody would be brothers and sisters. He died with that, and it's just the opposite. And we didn't realize that it was. The reason that it was so bad is nowhere safe. Kids ain't safe in the school anymore. You're not safe in your house. Where can you go? It's just the opposite. Now, I don't know what it's going to take to turn it around. We just need another Dr. King somewhere. Preach this nonviolence, because that's all it is, violence. I don't know where we're going to go from here.
Wow. That's profound. That's profound right there, what you said. Yeah. Need another Dr. King. Isn't that something? Yes.
And sometimes they won't come around but once. They won't come around but once.
That's correct. That's right. So we better not miss our chance, miss our shot right there. Yes, indeed. Yes. So, Miss Cannon, what would you like to tell the people? What would you like to say to me as I sit here, the people as they are listening, all of us in this room, the wisdom, that which is inside of you? What would you like to say to us?
I wish them all good luck, and let them listen at the past and not get out there and do what they want to do what they have to do.
Do the right thing.
Yes, indeed. And go to work. Go to work.
Go to work.
Go to work.
And not steal.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. Keep your hands off other folks' stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's profound right there. Good word, good wisdom. That's why I tell the young people, y'all can't run this by yourself. You gotta have the older people to tell you which way to go and how to go. So we cannot just lean on young people there, because they don't have it. They don't know enough. They don't know enough yet. So they've got to learn it and then do it. Learn it and do it. And be all right with who they are.
Back in time, people weren't killing one another like they're doing now. You scared to go anywhere now.
Yes, ma'am.
'Cause all these little youngsters got guns and they use them.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So what would you say the answer to that would be? Dr. King said no violence. the youngsters out here with all these guns, and they are able to get them easily. You know, they are getting these guns. So what would you say? What you see and say? What would you say to any and everybody that's out here about that?
Just don't get no guns. And back in time, people could walk the street and do what they want to do, but now you scared to leave your house.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's got to be, yeah, got to have something done. Something has to, be done about that. And so, because being in fear in your own neighborhood is out of order. Being in fear, going to school, all of that is out of order. So, yes, indeed. And you know, I tell you what, and Mr. Lewis, you may not know this, but see Miss Cannon right there? See, these youngsters think, and I always tell the young people, there's a scripture that in Ecclesiastes, it says that there is nothing new under the sun. Ain't that right, Miss Cannon?
That's true.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. You know, it's done happened, it's done done. And these young people think that they know so much, they've been everywhere, they got it all sold up, all of that. That's what they think. But let me tell you something. And they think that they know rap. They think that they know. But you see, Miss Cannon, I was at Miss Cannon's party, and I'm telling you, shot straight from the hip. I was in awe. And as she was doing her saying, her rapping, I was sitting there asking the Lord, give me some of that. Give me some of that memory. Give me some of that. And so, Miss Cannon, they don't believe me. I'm going to ask you to share with us right now. They don't believe me.
I'm 44 across the chest. I don't buy nobody the good Lord and death. I baptized in the barrel of butcher knife. I was shot in the side with 245. I walked the water, got the lightning, stopped the thunder, I put the world on the wonder. I weighed rattlesnakes for neckties. I smoked dynamite for cigars. You could roll your eyes wide as a river, but I jump down your throat and tap dance on your liver. I don't say what I mean what I say. Everything you do, start walking the other way. You come my way, you're going to be surprised. I put 2 bullets right between your eyes. It'll be too late to say you're sorry. If you had listened, you could have seen tomorrow. All your friends enjoying themselves, now you got to depend on someone else. Sitting there crying is not going to help, because what you did, you brought it on yourself. The life you choose was the one you made. You'll never shed us with song of amazing grace. Devil will be standing ringing that bell, because you're going to spend the rest of your life burning in hell. You're going to stand in the tree, don't need to cry, because you're going to be surrounded with fire. My name is Bess, I don't take no mess. That's all I tell to myself. Best thing you do it good side, best thing you take a pill.
Now,
Yes, indeed.
and that's
Yes,
correct,
indeed.
and that's
Yes,
100 years.
100
and we've
years.
got
Wow.
some young people out here who think they know rap and who think and they couldn't shoot from the hip like that, period. And I'm on record saying that. And so with that being said, Mr. Lewis Hall, you heard her.
I heard her. I couldn't read it.
Yes, indeed. You heard her. And
yes,
with
indeed.
that, yes, indeed.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
With that being said, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, all of that embedded inside of you all. Inside of you all.
Yes.
And with that, yes, indeed. So when we talk about where we've come from, where we are, I guess the only other thing is, where do we go from here?
Well, one thing you got to tell these younger people, you got to work.
Okay?
Work for what you get, and be satisfied with what you work for. Don't try to buy an airplane if you can't buy a boat. Or buy a bicycle if you can't buy a scooter.
There you go.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But you got to work. You got to keep asking with your hands out. Everybody wants something for nothing. It don't work that way.
Doesn't work that way.
Everybody who owns something, they pay the price to get it. It's like, pay the price. Just like she said how she worked. And I went to work for 30 years. Every day I was at work for 1 o'clock in the morning. Like this ice and stuff like that, it didn't stop me, because I had to work. One morning I was getting up going to work, my daughter was a little bit of baby, and I looked in the bed there. I said, that's why I'm going.
That's it.
Because I got to take care of her. And you got to work. And we got to start loving each other and quit the hate. Speak to your people. Talk to them. You know, be good. Just be good. Got to work for it. And love.
People don't love one another now anymore.
Yes.
They don't.
Love thy neighbor. What happened to that? Love thy neighbor. Neighbors don't speak to neighbors and all that. Come on. We can do better than that. As a race, we can do better. And we got to strive. That's our goal, to do better. Even after I'm gone, they can do better. That's what we got to do. And I'm glad I came over to talk with you all and to meet this lady here, 100 years old.
Yes, indeed.
She got me about 14 years.
Yes,
I
yes.
got 14 more to go. I'm trying to make it too. I'm trying to get there.
Yes, indeed. I'm honored to have you all, and then just to listen and to glean from you all. You know, we can learn, never get too old to learn, and
Right.
I appreciate, yes indeed, to be able to sit here, having been able to, and you alluded to the bus there, and I know about being out there waiting on that bus, and if it was full in the back, that bus passed you up, or if you got on that bus, you just stood there and held that rod
rail.
there, that rail, and then you dare not sat down. As a child, I never understood that, you know, but there it is. As a child, never understood it, but as you said, had to remain humble and do that which you needed to do, because you were sent from home by your parents, letting you know you better act right, you better do right, and get on back here before sundown for sure. For the street lights come on, you better come in.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
from playing. That's right. And you did that. You did that. When that fear and all of that was still imposed upon you, that was good fear, and you did exactly that.
And Dr. King opened our eyes up a lot so we could move on.
Move on, Dr. King. So,
Move on.
so yes, indeed, he did much, and so as we come to a close, anything else you want to share, Miss Cannon?
No, I don't. No.
Nothing else you want to tell or say or about being here? Anything?
I just thank God I'm on the land of living.
Yes, Lord.
Yes,
indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. And what, if you telling me, tell me what I need to do to get to 100 plus, because you over the 100.
Yeah, I'm over 100.
You over 100.
200.
Now, you better believe it, I tell you. So tell me, what would you recommend for me and others to do to get to where you are?
Just do the right thing.
Okay?
Do the right thing, you'll make it.
At this point here, I think that we've had a great conversation with this Dr. King Legacy series, and I am of utmost appreciative, I must say, for you all coming, sharing, being here, and thank you sounds so inadequate, but that's what I have to give. I want to say thank you for your time, for coming out. I know you'd rather have stayed in your home, but I'm so grateful that you, both of you, have come here to make this happen. And the purpose for this is we're going to share this with the people, young people, not so young people, folk that they can thoroughly understand where we've come from, where we are, and what we need to continue to do. I kept hearing the words about work. My favorite story was the little red hen and the grain of wheat. And the moral of that story was, if you don't work, you don't eat. And that's just as simple as that. So again, I thank you for coming to share with us today.
I was glad to be here.
And so here we are. I have with me, and grateful for, Miss Elizabeth Cannon and Mr. Lewis Hall. And so I thank you all for watching this segment of the Dr. King Legacy Series.